I'm going to bounce around a little bit for this story throughout the timeline, so it's going to be like a Tarantino film. Let's start by saying that my dad was an idiot. He's just a stupid, and by that I mean he was a bigot. That's how, I don't know how else to really put it. He wasn't like, he was raised wrong. I don't know. He was raised in a backwater town where he's born in the late 40s and he volunteered to go to Vietnam. That's how shitty his town was. Like that kind of like life that he had. And he was raised wrong. He had stupid ideas about things. But here's the thing, and like he would say things about minorities that would be not good, but like nothing like you all have someone in your family, probably your Uncle Dave or whatever, that you all know. Like you've all heard worse. Like he wasn't that bad. You've all heard worse. Like if you've ever seen a Tarantino film, you've all heard worse than what anything my dad said. But he would have these stupid things that he would say. But my dad was the epitome of actions speak louder than words, because he would say these ignorant things, but then he didn't have an ounce of hate in his heart. They were just a reaction. I kind of equate it like, someone who was raised and they went to Catholic school, then they're an adult, they don't believe in Catholicism, but they have all that guilt still. That's what racism was for my dad. It was just there. And I have a few stories to prove this. First one is when I was 8 years old, I brought my best friend home from school, Kenny Andrews. Kenny Andrews was a black kid. I brought him home. We're in my front room taking our shoes off, and I said to Kenny very nonchalantly, "Hey man, my dad doesn't like black people. He probably won't like you. So what turtle do you want to be? Donatello? That's cool. I want to be Raphael. You can be whoever you want." Because I was 8. I didn't know anything about ignorance or hate or whatever. I just thought it was a preference. Like, I don't like peas. He doesn't like black people. Who gives a shit? But here's the thing about my dad. He loved Kenny. He basically adopted the kid. We played sports together all through grade school, and I would stay at his house, he would stay at my house. Gail, his mother, became best friends with my dad. Just loved him to death. And I was like, I thought, what? I've heard you say shit before, and I didn't get it. My favorite example of that, when I was 15 years old, so in the late 90s, like 98, my dad hands me a cassette tape. It was an Elton John cassette tape. And he said, "I don't want to listen to this faggot. I didn't know about it." And that's what he said. He said something horrible like that. So there's two things about that. Number one, how do you not know Elton John's gay in 1998? How's that? For 20 years, the guy's been the most flamboyant performer. It was not a secret. So so you're homophobic, you were raised in a different time, whatever. I understand how someone who feels that way doesn't want to listen to a homosexual performing. Great, you're uncomfortable, you don't know things or whatever. I understand. I think it's wrong, but I understand that thought process. What I don't understand is the second part of, here, 15-year-old boy of mine. That's the action speaks louder because if he actually hated homosexuals, he would have threw it away or burned it at a rally like those people do. But he didn't have hate. He's like, I don't want to listen to this, but you can, 15-year-old. Like, it's totally, I know you like this music. I have a picture in my head of like in the 1998, my dad flipping through radio stations and Crocodile Rock comes on. He's like, hopping and bopping. God damn it! You know what? Saturday night is a good night for fighting queers. Okay, Dad, Jesus. He was just stupid. Because over and over again, he proved to me he didn't have an ounce of hate in his heart. He just didn't. That's why he was raised. But he didn't actually believe that shit. I knew him for a long time. And he did not ever, he was all bark and no bite. He was the nicest guy in the world. He would do anything for anybody. But sometimes he would say the N-word at the dinner table. It was weird. And he passed away a few years ago. And last summer, I was living with my girlfriend at the time. And she was a black woman. She didn't change. She is currently a black woman. She's a black woman. And my mother was over for a function, and I said to her kind of jokingly, I don't even know why I said it, but I said to her jokingly, I'm like, what would Dad say if he saw his son living with a black woman? I kind of said it as a joke. And she got real serious. She's like, and she got like real, because, she lost her husband, which, apparently that's difficult to go through. She got real serious. She's like, John, you know for a fact that your dad was not like that anymore. He just changed. And isn't that the point? Just be better than you were. That's all. Like, I feel like, and I'm not trying to justify his ignorance or his racism or whatever you want to call it, but if it wasn't for that closed-mindedness, I don't know if I'd be as open-minded as I am today, because I had that example to not follow. He was a fucking moron. But he was my dad, and I loved him very much, and I miss him very much. Have a good night.